24 hours in between. First faller, I think that might be is that the Americans or the Swiss?
I think it was Buckley, the Swiss.
Claudio Buckley of Switzerland. But Mike, this factor of racing 3 days on the trot surely is one of the reasons that Birnbach has decided not to go. If you're going to be at the front and giving it 100% to try and get a victory, you're not really going to be in your best form on day 3.
No, you're not. The fatigue levels, and anybody who does any sport, club runners, you know that 3 consecutive days of intense racing, Buckley losing some 15 seconds there. It is tough on the body. I'm amazed they didn't plan the sprint race for Thursday, day off Friday, Saturday pursuit, and then today the relay. That would give them some recovery time. But tight scheduling.
Well, some class athletes in this leading group, and Freddie Lindstrom's a man who certainly stepped it up a level last year. Some really impressive performances by Lindstrom, and he joined the big boys in the Swedish team, Ferry and Bergman. Eriksson, who takes the second leg, is the key for the Swedish success today, and they need a good result. Things haven't really been going their way recently. Jakob Falk still there in second. No mind games from him this time. Looks a little more fatigued than he was first time round. Dani Mesetic in third place for the host nation, the Austrians. He's looking strong. Just behind him, Germany, missing Birnbacher, but still a very strong squad. And the French, with Vincent Jay on the first leg, are doing well. If Jay finishes in the top 5, Mike, then the French really are one of the favourites to win, because Beatrix, Boeuf and Foucault have all been producing world-class performances this season.
And especially shooting as in Jay. There's Jay just dropping down onto the long descent. So far so good, only 3 seconds off the pace. Austria, I like the way that Austria, they haven't selected their fastest skiers, they've selected it on their best, the most reliable shooters, because there's no Julian Eberhardt in today, and he had the second fastest ski time in the 10k sprint. He had the 4th fastest ski time yesterday in the pursuit, but he's been left out by the Austrians.
So shoot number 2 in the standing position. Vincent Jay hanging on in there. This is his last race, remember. It would be a fantastic send-off for Vincent if he could win this first leg and hand over to Jean-Guillaume Beatrix in first place. It's still going to be pretty tough. He's going to have to outshoot the skiers around him, because I don't think he can out-ski Lindstrom, and he certainly can't out-ski Jakob Falk in his current form. That was Simon Schempp for Germany, currently lying 25th in the World Cup standings. Don't read too much into that at this stage, because one bad race puts you right down the order. Maybe by the time we go to Oberhof, we'll get an idea of who the champions are going to be at the end of the season. A miss from Lindstrom and a miss from Falk, the 2 fastest men in this leading group. Russia, 5 out of 5. Astonishing shooting from Anton Shapulin, and he's going to have gained himself a lead. And Vincent Jay, 5 out of 5. This might change his mind, Mike. Shooting like that, we haven't seen him do that all season.
It's fantastic. Often you get athletes who have announced their retirement because they're thinking about that, it puts them off. I'm amazed at Lindstrom and at Falk. They shot so well yesterday. Mesetic, he's been brought in for his fantastic shooting. It's not happening.
Now, Birkeland's gone out in 4th position. He's only 8 seconds behind. It'll be nice to see what he can do over the last couple of kilometres. Any penalty loops to be done?
Yes.
Ukraine just avoid it. Austria
on the loop.
They have won. That is a disaster for Dani Mesetic, and Christoph Suman in the start area will be fuming, absolutely fuming. But he's had a few relays when it's gone wrong. You've just got to be understanding. Maybe home pressure again getting to the Austrians on that occasion. The Americans are in danger, Mike. They've got 2 targets remaining. 3 shots have already gone wide. Kevin Kane took 8 shots to clear the 5 targets in the prone.
Quite tough for Kevin, having only at the moment this season raced at IBU Cup, brought in and been put on first leg in the relay.
So 2 shots, 2 targets remaining. He needs 100% hit rate from now on to avoid that 150-metre loop. Welcome back to Austria. Russia have an early lead in the men's 4x7.5 relay. Germany working hard with Simon Schempp to close down, and a good finish coming in from Mikkel Schlesinger there, ahead of Norway's Birkeland. And Vincent Jay, his best performance of the season without a doubt, and the last of his career. And there'll be a big cheer for him at the end of the day. Currently lying in 5th position. I don't think he's going to catch Russia, but he could certainly move into the top 3. That was a good performance from Anton Shapulin, and he showed us that yesterday in the pursuit, Mike, moving from 17th up into 6th place.
He'd had a great weekend, or a great week of racing in Hochfilzen. When he did so well yesterday, Shapulin, I thought he might, well, he's bound to be tired today, but he doesn't look it. The momentum of this out of the range first, he's desperate to keep hold of it. And just behind Jay, we've got Finland, bib number 23. That's the ranking from last year. Well done to Kauppinen.
Yeah, that's Jarkko Kauppinen, just going through the split time, 19 seconds down. Good race, no damage done. The Swedes a little further back with Slovenia, and I can't help thinking that Jakob Fack and, of course, for Sweden, Freddie Lindström just got a little bit too involved with each other in the early stages of this race. They could have done with just easing up and saving some energy for the last lap.
And quite possibly that turn of pace, as you said, they could have backed off a little bit. Fack put in that big sprint towards the top of the climb, and it really does put the pulse, the feeling up to maximum.
Yeah,
15 seconds to recover, that's all.
26 seconds behind. They've certainly thrown away 2 spare rounds, equivalent of, and possibly 3. So they've got work to do in the closing stages. Belarus, disappointing start for them, way outside the top leaders, but it's the Austrians who will be suffering at the moment. Danny Mesetic has dropped over a minute behind the leaders, having found himself on the penalty loop. Getting ready for Norway's second leg, the man who for so many years took the ankle leg. Now Ole Einar Bjorndalen takes the second leg, which traditionally is the weakest skier in the team.
Well, his ski speed, Bjorndalen, yesterday he was 4th fastest ski time. They were tight, the timings, but only 10 seconds behind his teammate Svensson, who had the fastest time.
Birkeland, he started this lap 10 seconds behind. He was 8 seconds behind he was, then it was 10, now it's 11.8, so he's losing ground to Anton Shapulin. Schempp has pretty much kept it level with the Russians at the front. For Germany, Schlesinger going okay, still within that 10-second margin.
What happened to Lindström? I wonder, we didn't see it. He must have fallen. He was with Fack at the last split time. Now he's some 10 seconds behind him. Well,
I think Jakob Fack has just turned on the turbos again, which he's quite capable of doing. A really exciting athlete, and we've already seen some sparks of brilliance from him. Rush around the last corner. Schempp of Germany in 2nd place. And the Czech Republic, I think we could see a surprise from them today. It's a pretty good team, isn't it, Mike? Moravec, Krupčík and Vítek. So much experience in that quartet.
It's a good team. Of course, they're slightly weakened at the moment, with, of course, one of the key members having fallen off his bike back in September, broken arm, broken shoulder.
So the first exchange, and it is Russia's Anton Shapulin who hands over to Andrei Makaviev. Germany now hand over to Eric Lesser, who's had a brilliant and surprising start to the season. Norway go through in 4th place. Birkeland to Ole Einar Bjorndalen, and Slovenia just behind them. Great work from the Slovenians to close that gap down on Norway. Clement Bauer now, who's another very, very quick skier, but he won't be looking forward to the standing shoot, because that's often where his race comes undone. Dockel and Oblak. So the Slovenians have put their best 2 first. Maybe a tactic that works today. France in 6th place, so Vincent Jay running out of a little bit of puff. Mike, that was a phenomenal finish from Slovenia. They were 26 seconds behind with a kilometre to go, and they closed that to 10.8.
This is looking so good for Jakob Fack in terms of potentially the overall World Cup winner. He's just looking so complete, so strong. Struggled on the stand shoot, though.
Bulgaria go through in 11th, looking very like the Norwegians in the similar coloured suit. Don't get confused by that. Slovakia down in 14, ahead of Estonia and Lithuania. Lots of good battles going on between the minor nations, Mike. The smaller teams, it has to be said, do not have anything like the funding that Russia, Germany, Norway, France have.
Difficult to compete, Patrick, when you don't have the finance even for waxing the skis or even to employ the technicians. And of course, many teams can't do that, including Britain.
Anton Shapulin, not so accurate in the prone position, but his standing shooting was immaculate, incredibly quick, just reflex actions, and he almost stares the targets down.
He's got that look, that confident, I am going to hit you. It's the absolute belief that you need when approaching the shooting range. Biggest surprise for me, Patrick, in 17th position, Austria, 1 minute 5 off the pace.
Well, when they won in 1999, they were 1:35 off the pace with 1 shoot remaining, and they still won. So they're certainly not out of it quite yet. But I think Mesetic has made Suman, Pintas and Landertinger's jobs that much harder. They've now got to rely on mistakes being made by the leaders. But in these conditions, Mike, it's bright sunshine. That won't change over the next 45 minutes, 50 minutes. And also the wind looks as though it's going to stay nice and light for the whole race.
It's a beautiful winter day, so you would not expect there to be many issues, although there again, Mesetic, he was on the penalty loop. He's one of the best shots in the world, and that comes with the pressure that you feel you're going to let your teammates down. It's a different feeling when you're doing a relay.
Clement Bauer just ahead of Oliana Bjorndalen, and they're now 15 seconds behind. They've lost a little bit of time in the first 1.2 kilometres. They've lost 5 seconds, in fact, to Makiviev, Lesser and Morovets, who are pushing the pace up front. And as we've seen so many times before, that can be a mistake. Eriksson for Sweden, 28. We'll map Eriksson at the handover, Mike. How far behind were Sweden?
Sweden were 23.6 behind the lead time.
So he's lost 5 seconds, same sort of speed as Bauer and Bjorndalen.
Only 5 on the first leg athletes. Hit 5 out of 5 targets both times, so didn't need to use spare rounds.
Christoph Suman there wearing 5 for Austria. He's got a little bit of traffic to try and find his way through. Slovakia wearing 14, Matis Kazar on the tracks for them.
I think the difficulty, Patrick, for Austria now, Christoph Suman, he's 17th position. He's not on his best ski form at all. We saw that in Östersund. We saw it here. He didn't even make top 60 in the sprint race. But he's going to have to push himself with this pace to try and keep Austria in it. Will that affect him on the range? I think it might.
Well, it might do, but it might also be a bonus, the fact that he did not race yesterday. And so slightly more rested than many of the athletes out on the tracks at the moment. Makiviev, Lesser, Morovets the leading 3. Bjorndalen now 14.8. So they've picked up the pace and starting to claw back the leaders who may be struggling on that big climb on the first time round. Eriksson of Sweden. Well, he's going the wrong way. Now 27.5 behind. And just looks a little untidy with the skiing, Mike.
He looked tense. Of course, this is at the top of this. It's about a minute and a half climb from the bridge or from the underpass to this point. It's a tough hill, but I